So we're going to go ahead and jump in. We got a pretty good amount of people in at this point, and it is officially 2 minutes past. So I think we've given enough time for people to get in. So, hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar, today's TouchPoint webinar. I am Andrew, and with me is Becky. Becky, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, sure. I am one of the consultants here at TouchPoint. New-ish to the team, but been with TouchPoint software for a long time as a user, and now I'm sitting on the other side.
Becky's one of those new members of our team that isn't quite new.
Yes.
She's new to this side of TouchPoint, but has been. How long had y'all been using TouchPoint?
Almost 9 years.
9 years. Okay.
So quite a while.
Long time. So, fun fact: a big part of my job and now Becky's job as well is we do a lot of on-sites. The very first on-site consulting gig I ever had was with Becky at her church, and I don't know if they knew that it was my first one. I don't think I told them that,
Probably not.
but they got to be the guinea pigs, and so that was really cool. So,
Yep.
Today's topic is mobile app, specifically engage your church with the mobile app. We'll be talking through just a lot of strategies. We talked through a lot of concepts about the app and then transitioning over into strategies. So we'll get to that in just 1 second. But as we like to do here at TouchPoint, on our webinars and roundtables, if you've joined us before, we like to start with kind of first things being the first thing. So we have a little bit of scripture here now for the eagle eyes out there. Yes, this is the scripture we used for our last webinar, but let me explain. So I read a book a few years back by an author named Philip Yancey called The Bible That Jesus Read. The Bible That Jesus Read, what you need to know about the book is there in the title of the book. It is all about the book, the Bible that Jesus read, which of course was the Pentateuch and Torah and so on. But it's an interesting concept to kind of think about, what we have today, what was their equivalent at that time, and and vice versa. And so the verse that we used for our last our last webinar was from Numbers 118, and they assembled the whole community of Israel on that very day. All the people were registered according to their ancestry by their clans and families. The men of Israel who were 20 years old or older were listed one by one. And when I hear that verse and think about that verse, what I kind of see built within it is that there's some, for lack of a better term, there's some segmentation going on. The people who are registered according to their ancestry, by their clans, their families. Our modern day equivalent, especially kind of from the TouchPoint perspective, is segmentation and knowing our people. And kind of the obvious go-to here at TouchPoint, being a database company, is the story of the Good Shepherd from John 10 and Jesus leaving the Good Shepherd, leaving his flock to go find the one that is lost. And that's sort of the through line for TouchPoint software. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. And one way that we can do that is through segmentation and understanding who our people are. And so when I read this verse, that's what I see. And so in our discussion today, a lot of what you're going to be hearing, a lot of what you'll be seeing comes back to that theme of personalization, personalizing an experience for our congregation. So with that, Becky, tell us about the agenda.
Yeah, so we're going to cover just a couple of things. Obviously, we're going to start with, we've all got to be on the same page here. Why do we do this? Why are we using the app? What is its purpose? We're going to talk a little bit about who the app is geared towards and who our audiences are. We're going to talk about best practices, and then how do you get your staff and your congregation on board? Creating that buy-in can be tricky. So that's probably just an important thing for everybody to be thinking about and planning for. And then we'll end with some Q&A.
All right.
So on this idea of why do we use the app? So I went to my good friend ChatGPT and had a little conversation. And here are the definitions that I got. The primary goal of the website is to provide information, access, or services through a universally accessible platform. It's better for discovery and ideal for attracting new users via search engines. So that means our website is a billboard to the world. That is how people are going to find you. Think about what you use: Google, Safari, any of those things. I need to know the hours of operation. I need to know directions there. I need to know, does your business offer me what I need? Now, taking it a little further is where the app comes in. The primary goal of a mobile app is to provide a highly personalized, efficient, and interactive experience for users on their mobile devices. It's often used for tasks that users do regularly. So, what are the things that our congregations do regularly? They give, they register for events, they listen to past sermons, they're going to access Bible study guides. That type of personalized experience is what we're going for. That's what TouchPoint's goal was when we built the app. So, with that foundation, then we get to move on. The app is really built for those people who are already invested in your church. They've already said yes. Think about all the apps that you have on your phone. Okay. You've got your favorite stores, you've got your bank, you've got your doctor's office, my kid's school. All of those things are there because they're making it faster and easier for me to access the things that I do on a regular basis. It saves my information. I don't have to type it all in every time. Right. So I've invested in all of those places. I trust them with my information, and it's a place that I am engaged. I'm not going to download an app that I'm not interested in. I don't go download somebody's app to learn about them and find out when they're open and find out what services they offer. I need an app that's going to compel me to engage with the content. I need a reason to go there. So that's really our goal as we're looking at how to set up the app, is how do we create this personalized experience for your users that is geared to what they need to do, what they want to do, and how they want to engage in your ministry.
It's such an important point, because if you kind of think about the apps that are on your phone right this very second, the ones that you're accessing frequently, even if you kind of lay aside maybe social media type apps or games, something like that, but you kind of have those utilitarian apps. You have those because you have a reason to go back to them. An app that I use often would be like the American Airlines app, because that's the airline that I typically use when I travel. So I don't have the United app for obvious reasons, because that's the one I made. And so American Airlines is I'm somewhat invested in it. That's sort of where my points are, right? And so I had a reason to download it, and now they've also given me a reason to come back to it because of all the utility found within it. So where we're going to begin, app audience. So by our estimation, in our opinion, there are three groups that we could be speaking to within the app. Okay, there's the congregation, lay leaders, and staff. And so what we need to do, it's a tall order, but what we're attempting to do is provide utility and information for each of those groupings. Congregation, just to define it real quickly, fairly obvious, but the congregate member is someone who, as Becky was saying, they've bought in to some degree. Maybe they don't even have to be a member yet, but this is where they attend. They're an active attender. They feel some affiliation to your church, and so they're coming back. And since they're coming back, they might download the app to take that next step and see what information you're providing directly to them. So we'll talk about that group. Lay leaders, that's the individuals who they're not on staff and on the payroll, but they're doing something for us. They're teaching a class, they're organizing an event, and so on. So what features are we going to provide to them? And then finally, obviously, you all, staff, what do we need to give to you? What are you all accessing the app to do? And so we're going to kind of break it down and talk about each one of those. So right off the bat here, group one, congregation, what are we doing here? Um, so uh, and Becky touched on some of this, but it's the information that is right there that they want to know about, that they are participating in. The screenshots that you're seeing here, these are examples of channels. Now we'll come back, we'll kind of talk about channels and some of that in just a moment, but these are posts from some channels. And so on the left-hand side, you see a post from the men's ministry. And then on the right, you see a post from the women's ministry. Now, going back to the top, we talked about this concept of personalization. Well, you can set up processes in your database that, by virtue of the fact that someone is a man or a woman, then they are automatically going to be following these channels. And so from the moment that they log in that very first time, okay, here's some content that we think you will be interested in. Here's some content that the men's ministry has posted about their last event or an upcoming event, or just things that are going on, discipleship tips, Bible readings for this week, things that we think are going to be pertinent to you. Another thing that you're seeing on the screenshot there on the right is there's a banner. So we'll talk a little bit about the banner section. Those banners can behave the same way. So by virtue of the fact that, say, I have children who are participating in the youth group, I might see a banner that's encouraging me to sign up the kiddos for middle school camp or high school camp. Whereas someone else that is participating in our senior adult ministry, they don't have kids that are in that age bracket, so they wouldn't see that banner because that would just be white noise to them, and it would be information that they don't necessarily need right now. So creating that kind of tailored experience for the congregation, so that they're getting information that they need every time they log in. They're seeing information that is pertinent to them. Other things that they might want to see are event registrations. Becky said this a little bit earlier, but having kind of those saved profiles. About every other Friday night at the triplet household is pizza night, and our kids think that mom and dad are really, really cool because we have pizza night every other Friday night. The fact of the matter is, no, we're not that cool. We're just really tired and we don't feel like cooking. So we go the pizza route. And I say all that to say, every pizza night I pull up the Pizza Hut app or the Marco's app, and my payment information is saved within there. I make our selections, I know what we want, build out that order, and then I hit submit, and I'm done. And since I have that saved payment profile in there, it makes it super easy. Event registrations can really operate the same way for your church and for your congregation. Because I'm already giving to your church, I have my saved payment profile. So when I come into the app to register for Top Golf, that information is there. I don't have to go track down my credit card. I just hit submit and I'm done. Giving and statements. We just came out of tax season, and I'm seeing in kind of the consulting team here at TouchPoint, we're seeing a really interesting shift with giving statements. When I started at TouchPoint about 11 years ago, this was a bit unheard of. Every church was stuffing envelopes with the giving statements, printing them all off and sending them out. And slowly but surely, we are seeing a significant shift away from that. A lot of churches are kind of piloting not sending those out. And for some of you, you're saying, "Oh, that's a no-brainer," obviously. And then others are like, "Nah, that won't fly here. There's no way we can ever get away from the mailed envelopes." But there are churches out there that have, and so the mobile app is one way to do that, is to encourage people. If you need your giving statement, download the app, go to the giving section, and then right there you can even download it straight from there. So you have it. You can go ahead and print that off and have it for your tax records. And then directories. This is a great way for the congregation to see what they're participating in, and then for where applicable, they can see the people that they're participating in groups with. So if this is Sunday school, life group, Bible studies, things of that nature, it's really nice for me to be able to see the people that I am participating in there with. And there's great privacy features. We're not really going to get real deep into privacy features today. But there's great privacy features behind that for anyone that's concerned about something like that. Just giving people access to too much information. Obviously, that's top of mind for TouchPoint as well. But directories are a great way to connect people. I've seen that in use a lot as well for mission trips. Um, People will use mission trips, set up a directory for all those going on the mission trip to help them get to know people a little bit better. All right. And lay leaders.
Nice. So the next group we're going to talk about are our lay leaders. Like Andrew said, these are your high capacity volunteers who are actively engaged in a lot of things and in a lot of leadership at the church. So one of the first things, now, I don't have to convince you as church staff why taking attendance is important. I understand that sometimes that's an uphill battle getting other people to understand why that's important. But we know that taking attendance for our meetings is going to give us good, clean data. It allows us to personalize, just like Andrew has been saying. From the app, people are able to add guests to their roster as well and record head counts. All of those things really play in, again, to this idea of personalization and making the app a usable experience for everybody who picks it up. And then the next thing is that lay leaders can do is the media and resources. So this is available to everybody, but one of the ways that we can customize it for lay leaders, these again, we've used the word segmentation a few times. We can set up this page in a way that you see what makes sense for you. If you are a leader of some small groups, you can have your small group curriculum guides there. You can have your Sunday school curriculum just available to your leaders. It doesn't matter who has the app in their hands. This page can be customized based on what kinds of leadership roles you're in. Like we have on the slide, past sermons, policies, any kind of PDFs that you need your leaders to have or to sign, those kinds of things all can be found on the media and resources page. And again, based on what their volunteer role looks like.
Yeah. Another great use that I've seen a couple churches use on that would be like deacons and elders. If they're making homebound visits, or they need to see meeting minutes, deacon assignments, things of that nature. By virtue of the fact that this person is an elder at our church, they will have access to the elder media and resources that others wouldn't necessarily have access to or need to have access to.
So again, we've mentioned, but one of the other things that for a leader that's crucial to their being able to lead their group is having people's contact information available. So having directories, having rosters, just having that information at your fingertips, having your group be able to connect with each other. Obviously, those are the things we know that in relationship is where ministry is built. And so this just puts the tool in your hand on your phone where it's the easiest accessible for you to have that information right there with you. Okay, and then the last group we're going to talk about is staff. So you have almost full capability. I say full and then go, You have accessibility to all people's records. So you can look at their personal information, you can look at their involvements, you can see all of the things that they're involved in. One of the cool things is that you can actually directly download their contact information and save it as a contact on your phone straight from the TouchPoint database when you're using it on the app.
Yeah, I love that feature. And you can segment and indicate who has the ability to do that. Typically, it is going to be staff. But sometimes I just need to be able to. I'm going to have an ongoing communication with this individual, so I don't want to have to go through the app each time to get that information. I can just go ahead and download it. So very useful feature there.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I think is the most helpful is being able to access tasks and notes. So having been somebody who's worked in the church setting for a lot of years, the number of times that I'm in the church lobby and I'm having a conversation with somebody and I go, I need to follow up with them. to have the ability to just pull out my phone and assign myself a task or assign another person a task from my phone in the app, and know that there's follow up there, that it's not on a little sticky note, it's not written on my hand. Like, there is just such a quick, I mean, we always have our phone in our pocket. So to just be able to pull that out, pull up their name, make a note, it allows us to just be so present with those people that we're ministering to. The other use there, I would say, is a lot of times if you're going to visit in the hospital, that's another one. You can record that you were there. You can give an update on how they were doing, so that the next time somebody goes and looks at their record, that's all there, regardless of where you're at. Even if you go do 10 hospital visits, you don't have to wait until you're back at your desk to go type all of those things in. You can give the update right there while you're in the hospital room. Okay, so channels. The other cool thing is that you are able to post and make posts to your channel right from your phone. So I know a lot of us who are on social media, that's just the quick, easy, you're out at an event, you take a picture, you're just immediately uploading with a quick little, description of what you're doing. You can do that now while you're at an event, as you're thinking about reminders that need to go out. All of those things can be done from your phone. Again, you don't have to wait until you're back at your computer. You've got the ability to remind people right where you're at.
Okay. So best practices. So switching gears a little bit now, from our segments, we want to talk a little bit about best practices and getting people using the app that you're putting together. It's a lot of work, maintaining an app. It's all done from within TouchPoint, but the creative teams, they spend time putting together the resources and the collateral, the images, and they pour their hearts and souls in there into those. So we want to talk about what's the best way to use some of the best ways to use the app. So the first thing here is this concept of channels. So channels, I think I get a little bit of confusion whenever I talk to church partners about channel and what they are. But I think something that helps churches understand what the channel is for is when I talk about actually the original name for channels. The original name for channels was actually ministries. So, rather than telling churches to go set up your different channels, we were saying go set up your different ministries. And then, our church partners would set up the women's ministry and the men's ministry, senior adult ministry, so on and so forth, which are kind of the no-brainers. But then we had other churches that were sort of participating in the beta groups that made a wonderful point, which is, well, sometimes we want to make posts on behalf of entities that are not ministries. There's other things happening at the church that aren't just ministries, and so that name is a little bit too narrow, and so that's when the change was made to call them channels, which I think was a good change. But the channels are typically going to still be ministries, like I said a moment ago, but it's going to go beyond that as well. It's going to be things like discipleship tips, things like daily Bible readings and scripture verses for the day and that kind of thing. Another really cool use for channels would be for specific events that are going on. So if you're participating in a particular event at church, you might create that as a channel as well, so you can make posts on behalf of that channel. So as the event is going on, maybe as a conference or something happening at the church, someone on staff can be posting to that channel to bring everyone, just kind of make it a little bit more interactive for the people who are participating and what they're saying. Those channels can be public or private. So we do have the concept of a private channel. A private channel, you must be essentially invited into by some mechanism, and you all can kind of determine what that mechanism is, whether maybe it's a registration form or something like that. But a private channel is great in those scenarios where you want to be able to post to a very specific audience. And you don't want it to go beyond that. A common example of this would be, we have middle school camp going on, and we want to be able to post to the app fun pictures and let parents know here's all the fun things that are happening at middle school camp this year. But obviously, that's not information that needs to be spread out wider than that audience. We want that to kind of be relegated to just the parents of those kiddos who are participating, and so that's a great use of that private channel concept. And then maybe staff. I've also seen churches create like a staff channel just to kind of update staff and bring them into the fold on fun things that are happening at churches, stories of impact, things like that, so that staff can be encouraged by all the great things that are happening around the church. All right. And then banners. So banners really act to set the look and feel of the app. So I see a lot of familiar names here in the attendee list. I know a lot of you are already up and running on the app. Some of you are in beta as well. But most of banners take up the prime real estate on the app. They are at the top of the app, and they stack on top of each other. So if you have 2 or 3 banners, that's really going to go a long way to setting the look and feel of the app. It's the first thing that people see, and it's really the prime real estate within the app. So you really want to take the time to make those beautiful, make sure they reflect your brand, they're consistent with your brand, and that's where that's where the majority of that look and feel is coming from. Now, my really, really smart friends on the marketing team, they made this point, and if you have questions on it, I'll direct you to them. We'll get you some good information. But they talked to me a little bit about creating templates. And so there's actually a screenshot on the screen, that lower right-hand corner there, where it says page 2, and it says city church channel banner template. And so what they do for our Engage app, which we use at Summit, which registrations are available now. Go register. But for our Summit app, we have this template so that everything stays consistent. You can see those guide markers on there. That's coming from whatever tool, whether it's Photoshop, Canva, whatever it is they're using. But utilize those templates to create consistency and that branding consistency in those images, so it always looks great, looks beautiful. And if you have questions on that, I'll direct you to my friends in marketing.
Yeah, so the last thing we want to talk about is just what does it look like to create the buy-in? So I think the first level is getting your staff engaged. So I think most importantly, you've got to bring them on board with why does it matter? How does the app help further your ministry? What are the things that you can do better by having the app accessible, having this tool that's connected to everything you're doing in TouchPoint that's right in your pocket? I think another piece of it is making sure that they're trained. People aren't going to use a tool if they don't know what to do with it. So making sure that you're getting your staff on board with good trainings, and also with some guidelines and recommendations on how you see this playing out and what are the tools that you would like to see your staff using. As Andrew was talking about, especially like for channels and things, one of our big tips is to empower the ministry areas to make those posts for themselves. Now, that gets it a team effort, it gets everybody on board, but with that, you're going to have to give them some guidelines. You're going to have to say, this is how many posts a week you can make. This is what a post should look like. So you're still going to have to make some of those decisions internally about how you want this to function. But just making sure that your staff are all on board and engaged in that conversation and coming up with those guidelines and things together. Creating some kind of a schedule or a timeline. We were talking with somebody the other day that if every ministry made 1 or 2 posts a week, spread that out over 4 or 5 ministries, you've got 20 posts And the load was shared. It's not on one person to do all of that. So schedule those out with other ministries based on what events are happening, what events are coming up. But get your staff engaged in the process.
And those channel posts can be scheduled, which is really nice.
Yes.
So you can kind of get ahead of that work. You know, so sitting down once or twice a month, scheduling out 2 or 3 posts, and then it's kind of set it and forget it.
Yep. And then we're going to talk about how to get the congregation engaged. Again, we're going to go back to the why. What can they do? How are we working hard to make their life of interaction with the church easier? How are we taking those tools that they use on a regular basis, and putting them at their fingertips? And again, getting your staff and your lay leaders excited is going to help trickle down and get your congregation excited. It cannot be overlooked that probably the highest priority way that people are going to get on board with the app is to get your lead pastor talking about it from the stage. That is the way for just about anybody. If you can get some stage time, if you can get your lead pastor on board, that's how you're going to create engagement with the congregation. And we've also heard about churches doing launch days, making a big party of it, having people in the lobby to help, having staff wearing t-shirts, doing lanyards. Make it a party. If you make a big deal of it, it's going to make an impact for them. So, Andrew, what do we have here?
Yes. All right. So blank screen. So, so our friends at Friendship Minnesota, they recently launched their mobile app, and they actually launched it along with an update to their website, and they put together just a really great marketing video to announce this, talk people through it. You'll see a lot of the elements that we've talked about today, talking about the why. And so we wanted to show this to you. It's 60 seconds. And it kind of hits on a lot of what we've discussed. And hopefully this kind of sparks some thoughts in your own mind of like, hey, here's how we could do this.
When life gets too busy, there's now an easier way to find the resources you need. And when you need something that fills you to keep going, it helps to get a little inspiration and perspective sometimes. And for the times you need to go to the one who hears your cries, download the new Friendship Church app today and visit the new and improved website at friendshipmn.org. It's now easier than ever to stay connected to the ministries of Friendship Church.
So shout out to our friends, Matt and the team over there at Fellowship Minnesota. They're doing an awesome job. So thank y'all for allowing us to show that. So and then the last piece of this that we'll mention in terms of best practices and ways to get people engaged in the app. I think the prayer request feature is a really nice way to get people engaged with the app, get them into the app. And submitting those prayer requests, there's a lot of questions that I get for obvious reasons about prayer requests and how they work. Will there be an approval process? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So bare minimum, you could just allow people to come in and submit prayer requests, and that's it. And in turn, we have the prayer wall, but you can actually turn the prayer wall off, so no one will ever actually see those other than members of the staff that can then, of course, take some time to pray for those prayer requests. But then if you do have the prayer wall turned on, then you can have those prayer requests go hit the prayer wall so that others can see them as well and indicate that they've prayed for them. Yes, like I said, there is, of course, an approval process. So before those prayer requests hit the prayer wall, a member of the staff can take a look at those, make sure that they are appropriate or not divulging any personal information. And even modify them before approving them to remove maybe some information or some personal details that shouldn't be in there. But then once they are approved, they go to the prayer wall. And then, as you can see on the slide there, members of the congregation and members of the staff can come and indicate that they've prayed for that individual. Whenever you indicate that you've prayed for someone, that individual is notified within the app that someone has prayed for them. They can see how many people have taken the time to pray for them. That's not displayed anywhere else. Obviously, we're trying to avoid comparison. We don't want someone being disappointed because, hey, that person over there got prayed for 10 times and I only got prayed for twice. So we're trying to remove some of those more toxic elements of social media, but still giving that person the encouragement that people have seen their prayer requests and are taking a moment to pray for them. So that's a really, really great way to get some buy-in, get some people into the app early on. So in terms of the material we had for y'all today, that's everything, but we do have some time for questions. I see some questions coming in. We got some members of the team on here that have been reviewing those. Are there any out there that need a little bit, or that we might want to address?
Andrew, we've pretty much left the ones in there on the open tab that I wasn't able to answer. If you could address some of those.
All right. Can we get more information about loading videos to the app? So MP4, Vimeo, etc. So without looking at it in front of me, I do believe one of the resource types is Vimeo. I know one of the resource types is YouTube. And so you just take the link that YouTube provides you and then you put it in that space. And then that's what pulls that in. There's discussions down the road of providing feeds. So you don't have to do that for each individual video that you want to live on the media section. That is very much on the roadmap and will come at some point. But you should be able to, you don't necessarily have to upload the video to TouchPoint. You should just be able to pull it in from that feed. And I believe we do have some documentation on that. Another similar question concerning uploading videos. Yeah, you shouldn't need to upload those videos. You should just be able to, wherever you're hosting them, again, whether it's Vimeo or YouTube, you should be able to pull them in that way. All right, so there's some questions. It looks like some of these questions are about usability. Mary asked about the live feed, and if something's not functioning the way that you would expect it to, I would recommend maybe submitting that to support, opening support requests so that we can dig into that and review it. In my experience with the live feed, whenever that doesn't play, it's something to do with the link, with the way that was fed. So we'll take a look at that. Let's see here. All right. Ben asked, is there a target date for the calendar? Not a solid date, but actually right before this call, I was having this discussion with some members of our team, and that is one of the next releases. So that is coming relatively quickly. No hard and fast date at this point, but it's not far off.
And Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the same with push notifications as well. Is that true?
That's true.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's one of the higher priority requests that's out there right now. Okay. Kimberly is asking a question. Sounds like some of the graphics and things, they display differently on iPhone, iPad. and perhaps Android devices. And that is true. You are going to see some variance across. You're going to see some variance across devices and operating systems. The best thing to do is to recruit a friend that kind of has one of those devices at their disposal, so that as you make your posts and as you update a banner, say that it looks great across multiple platforms. And again, that's another thing that our team can kind of help explore for you. So if you have one that for whatever reason is not looking great, if you'll let us know, our team can take a look, and it might be something that we could adjust behind the scenes, or something that needs developer attention. But usually it's just a modification to the image size itself, the file itself, maybe the resolution, that clears some of that up. All right.
And Kimberly, I see that you're asking about the scheduler. You can view and access and sign up for your dates in the app. You are not going to see who is scheduled for that day, but you will be able to use the scheduler and sign up for your dates just like you would on the web.
Yeah, there are requests about that, about kind of pulling the scheduler into the app. It is very much on the roadmap. It is very much something that we want to do. Some of the other items that we've already mentioned, like push notifications, are closer to the top of that list than scheduler. But I would very much expect to see enhancements to that functionality in the future. But some of that other stuff is a little bit more imminent. Dave asked about cost. Is it included within the subscription? That honestly depends. It honestly depends on. It varies by church. If you're a church partner that's come on recently, like within the last year, 2 years, it is built into the agreement, typically, except for in some rare instances. But if you will get a hold of a member of our team, if you are interested in the app, and you're not currently using it and you haven't really begun that process, if you will reach out to us, we will be happy to get that quoted and get that started for you. So there are a couple of these that to be honest, I'll need to research a little bit further. I don't want to give bad information. I think I know the answer on most of these, but I don't want to give inaccurate information on the webinar to a big group. So some of these we can take offline, dig into a little bit, and try to get you answers as quickly as possible. Before we wrap up today, we do want to mention, I alluded to it earlier, there is one more day on the discounted tickets for Summit. So if you have not signed up yet, you will not want to miss Summit in Bentonville. The dates are right there on the screen, September 16th through the 18th. You can go to summit.touchpointsoftware.com to register. If you've never been to Summit, it's one of the best things that you can do in getting to know TouchPoint, getting to know our team, but then also just networking. There are 60 people that are on this webinar right now, and then hundreds more that will attend the event that are great resources for you at TouchPoint. And so it's one thing to kind of come to Becky and I and talk to us about TouchPoint. We love to help you, and that's our job, that's our passion. But then to network with others that are in your position using TouchPoint is a huge benefit. And then, of course, hearing from the TouchPoint staff what's on our hearts and some things that are new within the system are all great reasons to come to Summit this year. So I think I've left that screen up long enough. Hopefully you have had a chance to hit that QR code that will go to that website. And then a couple other dates just to know about. We have the roundtable. The next roundtable is June 17th. 2 o'clock Central Time, and then our next webinar, which is going to be, both of these actually are going to be around ticketing, the ticketing features. I know it's weird to say, but churches are planning for end-of-year events, Christmas events, things like that. And ticketing is a great way to do that. So if you want to know more about ticketing, I recommend that you check out that roundtable and that webinar, which is on the 26th of next month. So we appreciate y'all very much. This has been a lot of fun. Appreciate your time. Thanks for sticking in there with us. We'll do our best to get back to everyone that has been asking questions that we didn't have a chance to get to. But thank you all so much, and we will talk to you soon.